How can I make myself bigger? Here you go. All right. So let's go with this bench thing. And you can have like a step or anything. You're just basically trying to have this like visual of something that you're trying to swing the leg up and over. So I have this step here. Start with it to your side. If it's on the right side, you're balancing on your left leg. Right leg comes up and over like it's going over a hurdle, and then go back into a reverse lunge and do that again. So you're just doing this forward swing around to a reverse lunge. Go through 10 of those on one side, 10 on the other. And that rectangle we always talk about, the shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip rectangle, be really aware of that because it's easy for the body to want to lean away from that leg to just help it out. Try to straighten everything back up so that it's just the hip that's taking in all that rotation. So go through 10 of those. I'm just doing a forward leg swing, around to the side, reverse, go through 10, and then you'll go through the same thing on the other side. Whenever you're ready, you can either turn around or walk around to the other side. The same thing is achieved. Let's get some music on. I always feel like this garage is so quiet. Do the same thing on the other side. You should notice that first one or two feel kind of sticky. That is common, and as you get going, it should start to feel like they're just moving a little better. There we go. Think about the even shoulders, the even hips. It should feel good. It's just like a way we don't really move our hips. Go through 10 of those. Nice job. So you're just doing this, you guys just need like a bench or something that you can put a little bit of weight on. We're not gonna do any like box jumps up onto it. But generally it just kind of gives you something to swing the leg up and around. If you don't have anything for this, it doesn't matter. It's just this imaginary thing we're trying to avoid. So once you've done 10 on one side, 10 on the other, this is where it's gonna get fun. Facing away from the step, balance on the left leg, put the right heel down on the ground, and you're trying to give the bench, chair, whatever it is, half of your weight. So imagine you're sitting down, but you don't want to sit all the way down and come right back up. Go through 10 on one side, 10 on the other. This is a quick way to warm up the leg. Right heel is rooted down, left foot is flat. See if I can give you a better view of what my foot's doing. Go through 10 on one side, 10 on the other. And as much lean forward as you need to get the hips back. Don't worry about the angle of the spine right now, whatever feels like it makes the most sense. 10 on one side, switch, 10 on the other side. This warms up that quad really quickly. It's basically just a progression move into what would eventually be a single leg squat. We won't do any pistol squats today. It's not exactly what this is about. This is mobility. You can sweat a little bit, but it's not supposed to totally wear you out. You should be able to go into a hard workout tomorrow and feel just fine. So 10 on one side, 10 on the other side. Nice work. When you're done with those, we're gonna go back to using that step, bench, chair, whatever it is you have, like it's a hurdle. So it'll be back to your side. Last time we swung the leg forward first. This second round, we're gonna ask the glute to fire first. So it's gonna be a leg swing back, swing the leg around to the front, forward lunge, and then push off that leg and then reverse that swing back around. So it's just the reverse of what we were doing earlier. Swing over, forward lunge, push off that front leg, swing the leg around. So remember, imagine if you couldn't see what I was doing from the waist down, you wouldn't really know I was doing anything because everything up here is super stable. So it's a lift to the back, glute fires first, hip flexor fires second, and then you just land onto that front leg. Push off the front leg, swing it around, and you're just coming back to neutral. So it's a leg swing, lunge, leg swing. Go through 10 of those on this side. Even shoulders, even hips. That push off of that front lunge is your trickiest balance spot. That leg usually wants to push more than it actually needs to, so you end up having to kind of control that momentum that's going back. Once you're done with those 10, do the same thing on the other side. You can either turn around, walk around to the other side, both work. You're starting with that reverse lift, so glute fires first, leg swing around, forward lunge, push back. Yep, so you just think about, you're just like undoing it. Lift back, swing forward, lunge, push, and swing it back to where you found it. So that first swing goes from the back to the front. Second one goes from the front to the back. Try to control that momentum off of that front lunge. Got it. 10 of those on each side. Shorter. The first half of this is going to be a lot of getting warm. And then the second half is going to be more just mobility and smoother kind of breathing stuff. Nice job. 10 of those. When you're done there, you're back to facing away from your step. Left foot down, right heel can be down, or right foot can be lifted. This time you're trying to sit all the way down, as if you're just sitting down to dinner. This free leg can either be lifted, that's going to be harder, or the heel can just barely be down to give you a little bit of momentum up and down. The only difference between this and the last one is that now the muscles just get to completely relax when you sit down, and then they have to completely fire again to get you back up. So in some ways it's easier because you didn't have to hold onto that weight and then reverse the movement. In some ways it's harder because more of those muscle fibers are going to fire to try to get you to stand back up. But as little weight in that free leg as possible. So whatever leg is the one that you're asking to do all the work, put as much effort in that leg. 10 of those on one side. And then you're doing the same thing on the other side. Easy switch. You're just putting a fresh foot down on the ground, other leg out, stand up, sit back. And you can lean forward over that leg. That's our body's just natural way of trying to get our center of gravity right over the point where we're trying to push up from. 10 of these. Should feel like you're getting warm fairly quick. All right, 10 on one side, 10 on the other. Once you're done with that second round of 10, let's go back to these leg swings. This one's going to be kind of funky because we're just going to alternate. Last time we're doing these, promise. Let's start with that inside leg lifted. If you're not there yet, don't worry about it. You'll have plenty of time to join us. You're doing this forward leg swing. When that leg comes around, go into a curtsy lunge. That leg comes back, reverse the movement back to neutral. So it's a forward lift. Bring the leg around behind you. Shoulders stay even. Don't drop the chest. Don't lean. Don't twist. Push out of it and reverse that leg swing. So forward, swing back behind the leg, and then reverse that movement back to neutral, feet even. If you don't have a chair or anything, you can do this anywhere. It's just kind of nice to have this like object, but an imaginary object also works. You should feel that effort in the outside and everything that rotates around that hip, because you're sending that free leg back and it's putting this huge twist in the pelvis, and the femur that's going up into that pelvis has to account for that rotation and then pull you back up and out of that. So this is good for running because a lot of times when you get tired, you have this hip drop. You'll see a tired runner will have a hip kicked out. And this is trying to strengthen your body's ability to correct the hips back to even, to neutral. When you're done there, go to the other side. Where is your 10-ish? All right, that forward lift, swing the leg around, curtsy lunge, kick that hip out, swing the leg back to neutral. Nice job. You feel good-ish. It's one of those too where that first one feels funky. Your body's trying to get used to, where do I lean? How do I lean? And then as you get into it, it should feel like that hip starts to track better. You get a little bit of that muscle memory. hips even, shoulders even. Nice work. All right, 10 of those on this side. So both legs should be tired, right? It's the hip flexor of the moving leg, and it's the glute med and the hip abductor of the leg that you're balancing on. Nice job. All right, 10 of those. When you're done there, back to these little sit-down stand-ups. But now we're gonna try to just barely tap the hips. First round was 50% of your weight. Second round was 100% of your weight. Now it's like 5% of your weight. You're just trying to barely tap the hips and come right back up. So this is gonna be the hardest because you're not getting any help from the bench to get back up. Imagine you're like sitting on an egg. You want the hips to hit the egg, but if you put more than a couple pounds on it, that thing's gonna crack. And then for added excitement, you can keep that free leg lifted. If you need it for more balance or support, you can always just put the heel down on the ground. And that free leg, the leg that's not really doing all the work, will chip in and do like 5% of the work. 10 of those on one side, 10 of those on the other side. Again, this is all the kind of progression drills you would do if you're trying to get into being able to do a pistol squat. If anybody is interested in eventually doing a pistol squat, you can also use like a weight. And if you take the weight out, it helps pull you back up because it just allows you to have this like counter weight to get you out of that kind of funky spot. All right, when you're done with those, facing this step now, I'll bring one leg up and around. Here's kind of funky. So you're gonna set the foot down on it, and you're just gonna give this step half your weight. So I'm just kind of jumping up and then bringing that leg back around. So this leg comes in, little hop, and then swing that leg back around. Go through 10. Try to keep the spine as vertical as possible. So that's important. In all these other exercises, you've been able to lean as much as you need to. Right now, it's all about just that little push. So it's really more work from that leg underneath you. Go through 10 of those, getting used to that inability to lean forward. Before you switch legs, we're gonna do the opposite of that for the same leg. You're gonna keep that leg up there, hinge forward as much as you can, and you're just doing 10 little jumps again. I'm just putting weight onto that front foot and coming back down. You can do this on a sofa, on maybe not a coffee table. Sounds risky. Cooler. You're only really putting about half of your body weight up there for a second. It's just a little jump, 10 of those. And it's just showing how different muscle groups work depending on how your spine is leaning. When your spine's vertical, it's a lot of quad. When you're leaning forward, it's gonna be a lot more glute. So same thing on the other side, whenever you're ready. It's those same two things. You're starting with that leg swing, little press up. Bringing that leg back around. Vertical spine, imagine you have like a string pulling straight from the top of your head. Or imagine you have this like fake wall in front of you and you just can't lean forward. It would block you. Go through 10 of those. Nice job. So that same kind of hip mobility. Good. Shoulders are over the hips. Shoulders are even. No asymmetries for the upper half of the body. And when you're done with those 10, you're in that opposite spinal positioning, step ups. You'll just leave that foot up there, drop the chest over it, and now you're just kind of popping up and back down. Pop up, back down. If hands on the bench is too hard, you can always go hands on the knee. It's really the same kind of thing. We're just asking all these surrounding muscles to just fire quick, hold on to you, and then come back. It's very similar to that exercise we do in plank where we bring the leg out super wide and then pick the hands up off the ground. It's like groiners, I think. Travis calls them. Nice job. 10 of those. Perfect. All right. Then you're going to turn and face away from the bench or chair or stool or whatever you're using. Let's start with left foot down, right foot kick back. okay? Keeping the spine straight up and down again. We're gonna do the same kind of thing again. 10 with a vertical spine, 10 with a drop spine, and then we'll switch legs. So with as vertical of a spine as you can get, you're just going down and back up. And what you'll feel is this huge stretch in the front of that back leg. There's no lean forward. You're just going down and back up. And then when you're done with those 10, just like with the step ups, you're just gonna lean forward. You can either just go to the point where the spine is parallel with the ground, or you can take the fingertips all the way down to the ground if you feel like you've got that in the hamstring, and you're just doing the same thing. Bend and straighten that standing leg. And it should feel a lot harder than that first variation because now there's all this weight over that leg. You can go hands on the knee if that gives you a little stability. If the fingertips reach all the way to the ground, or if you have something else you can hold on to, go for it. But it should feel like the knee is doing the same thing, but a totally different set of muscles are firing now. We'll do those same two things on the other leg whenever you're ready. So go fresh leg down, tired leg back, vertical spine, chin off the chest, eyes forward, and you're just doing 10 of those. Bend the knee and straighten the leg. Shoulders are staying over the hips. So if you couldn't see the lower half of your body, it would just look like the top half of you just sinking down. You're not shifting forward. You're not leaning back into it. You're just dropping straight down and back up. And all of that's being accomplished by just that bent knee. And then those same hinged over, bent and straightened legs, 10 of those. It should feel like that's a lot more demanding on that single leg than it was on that last exercise. Nice job. Good. I told you it'd be a warm one. At least the first half of it. Nice work. That's the hardest thing we're gonna do, or the sweatiest thing we're gonna do, the warmest thing. All right, you don't need the bench or the step right now. We're gonna use it later just for leg swings, but for now you can put it away. We'll go into plank. So feet together, chin to the chest, roll down slowly, and walk the hands out for a plank. Whenever you're ready. All right, so we're working on hip drivers. That means that's what's moving, that's what's driving the movement. So hips drop down, chin goes up, hips go up, eyes try to look at the belly button. Go through 6 of those. Hips drop, eyes up. Back to the heels, eyes go to the belly button. Your hips are leading the movement, but chin and neck and eyes are all following the lead. 6 of these. And then we're going to go through this isometric hold arm reach. So once you're done with those 6, you're just holding a basic straight arm plank. Out any shift. So the problem is, if I'm going to lift my right arm, my hips are going to want to drop and I'm going to want to roll over into my left arm. It's much easier. We're trying to just have you lift up that arm, but not have anything else move. So do 6 on each side. You're trying to isolate that movement just to a single shoulder. You should feel very robotic. So from the side, you're just doing this. Forward reach, forward reach. Good, 6 on each side, nice work. Good. 6 on each side, and then walk the hands back to the feet or walk the feet up to the hands, whatever feels better. And you'll just stand back up slowly. We'll go through that 2 more times, just different planes of motion. We'll do side reach and overhead reach. So you're back to your hurdle now, or chair, or whatever it is that you have. We're just gonna work on leg swings. No more lunges, you're warm. It's just gonna be hip mobility, and we're gonna try to fatigue all this stuff. So if I have the hurdle to my right side, balancing on the left, I'm gonna take the leg up to the front and around, and just before I start the descent, I reverse it and come back to neutral. Okay, so I'm drawing like a shepherd's hook. It's going forward, hook back around just before I start to drop it back down, reverse the movement and come back. And that's harder on the glute because you're now not able to drop all the way down and then just rely on some momentum to get the leg back up. Imagine you're doing like 2/3 of the range of motion of that full leg swing, and then your leg's going, nope, we should be doing something else, and it just reverses and goes back. So do 10 of those. Try to keep shoulders even, hips even. Before you switch sides, so it gets fun, you'll just take it from, imagine it's a 3-part movement. There's a lift, there's a swing, and there's a drop. You've been doing the lift and the swing. Now you're just doing the swing, forward to back, forward to back. And they should be equally tired. It should be the glute of the leg that's balancing you and the hip flexor of the leg that's swinging. 10 each way, so that's 20 swings. That's a lot to ask out of both of these things. And you'll do the same thing on the other side. Nice job. If you want to hold into something for balance, go for it. If it stops, and you can just like wiggle out the hips. Sometimes my hips start just cramping up a little bit, and to shake them out feels a whole lot better. When you're done there, to the other side, you got to be even. So that inside leg, the one that's swinging, goes up first, around the side, and just before it would start the descent, it swings back around and drops. So we're on a fresh leg doing 2 things. We're doing 2/3 of a full leg swing. That leg goes forward, swing around. Just before it would drop, you reverse the movement and bring it back down. 10 of those. And it helps if you have a bench, but you don't need one. We're not using it. We're just using it to like avoid it. Maybe something that's not sharp or breakable. 10 of these, good. Are the shoulders even? Are you breathing from the shoulders, the upper chest? Are you breathing from the belly? Belly is the correct answer. 10 of those, nice job. When you're done with those 10, then you're just gonna be like a broken record. You're just doing that swing back, swing forward. That's 1. Swing back, swing forward. That's 2. You're trying for 10 of those. So it's really 20 swings because it's going back 10 times and it's going forward 10 times. That feels more tired on you, but my balancing leg is often the one that fatigues first. Nice job. 10 of those, and then we'll go back into our plank. Everything will be on that second plane of motion now. We always start with sagittal, so front to back. Good job. All right, when you're done there, back to our plank. So feet together, chin to the chest, roll down slowly, walk the hands out to a plank. Nice job. This time your hip driver is side to side. So feet are wide now. Left hip goes left, right hip goes right. And they should be this slow. From the front, it's just this hip shift, side to side. 6 each way. Little bend in the elbows. You don't ever really want to lock them out. If you lock them out, that means you're just relying on the skeleton. And that's great. It's very reliable, but we'd rather work the muscles. From there, remember last time we did forward reaches. This time we're doing side reaches. So if you had somebody doing a plank right next to you, you'd just be reaching for like their shoulder blade. 6 on each side. Notice when you pick up that left arm, the left foot should be pushing more into the ground. It has to take up some of the slack from what the arm's doing to have to lift up. Nice job. The hardest thing in the world to do is to not move. It's not the moving arm that's hard, it's everything else trying to stay still that's hard. 6 of those on each side, excellent. Then walk the hands back or walk the feet forward. Stand up slowly. We have one more leg swing, one more plank, and then you're done. So back to your bench or chair or coffee table or whatever it is. So we're gonna work on, let me put this here so you can see it. If I'm balancing on my left leg, my right leg is the swinger. It's gonna go out wide first, hook it around to that corner, and then reverse it and come back. So again, it's that 2/3 of a swing, and then the leg decides, it's all right, I'm gonna go back. So it goes away from center first. Away from center, hook, around and back. So go through 10 of those. Once you get that movement down, it should feel like it's pretty smooth. Check that the upper half of your body doesn't twist with that leg. It's staying forward. The spine is absorbing that rotation. Nice job. 10 of those. And then just like we did last time, before you switch sides, you're just going to do the swing part, not the lift. It's just going back and forth, back and forth. Shoulders are even. So again, if you couldn't see me from here down, it would look like I wasn't doing anything. 10 of those each way. Should start to feel that in the hip flexor. Nice job. This helps with that knee drive and in the long run, that endurance to continue picking up the knees. Same thing on the other side, right? So you have your fresh leg. If your left leg is the one you're swinging, it goes away from the center first, hooks around to the corner, swing it around and come back. So for that pull across, that's your hip adductor. I try to remember that because it's like adding to my center line. It's pulling things in. Then your hip abductor fires to pull it back. So adductor swoops it in, adductor pulls it in, abductor pulls it out. Nice job. 10 of those, and just like last time, and the last time you'll do this today, just those across and back, across and back. Nice job. 10 each way. You can always have a little bend in that knee. Straight leg is going to be a little harder. But if you're feeling any of the pain in the knee, you can always just bend that knee, and then the hip and quad and calf will take over. You won't have to rely on that joint as much. 10 of those, and then you have one more plank. We're almost done. It went by very fast today. We have Margaritaville on. Can you guys even hear this music? That's ridiculous. All right, we're changing it up. All right, so back to your plank. Feet together, chin to the chest, roll down. Third plane of motion is always going to be rotational. So I'm just trying to create a twist in my back. Bend the right knee, right hip comes close to the ground, correct back to neutral. Bend the left knee, left hip comes down to the ground, correct back to neutral. And it can be that slow. There's no reason to move fast. You don't necessarily have to bring the hip to the ground, but that's the direction you're trying to twist it. Imagine you had like sweat dripping off the side of the hip. You want it to be able to just hit right there in the middle. 6 on each side. A little bit in the elbows. You should feel this in the shoulders. I mean, they're doing a decent amount of work. Good job. And then for the arm reach. Imagine you're like a swimmer and you're just creating that swoop part of the stroke where the thumb sweeps by the hip and then it comes right back to neutral. Thumb hits the hip, reaches for the ceiling, back to neutral. We've done forward, side, and now we're doing this push back. It's that finishing part of a swim stroke. Arm goes in and then you pull it back. Just recreating that back part. 6 on each side. Notice how the weight shifts in the feet. That right foot's gonna have to root down a little harder when you lift up the right arm. Nice job. When you're done there, roll over onto your back. We'll finish with abs. Last little bit. Nice job.
All right.
Small, finish big. So small is going to be arms out, feet tucked, and we're just doing these little bitty knee tucks. So it's just really waking up the lower abs. The hip flexors are plenty warm and awake. Go through 15 of those, just little movements, knee tuck. I don't even get to a full leg extension. 15 of these. Then we're going to bigger movement. So hands are going to go back behind you. Back drops down, legs extend, everything tucks in. So 15 of those. Nice job. Last little bit. I'm gonna take up like an extra minute of your time. Nice job. And then last one is gonna be everything goes flat, legs go out. Everything comes up to a tuck. Everything goes straight out. Everything comes up to a tuck. If your abs are not feeling it at all yet, you can go into a V up, so straight legs, and it just makes it a little harder. But your hips should be really tired right now and not really wanting to do that. 15 of those. Always connect the breathing with the movement. So exhale on the way up. Get power from the breath out. Nice job. Those last thing you're doing. It's so lovely to see everybody. Last Wednesday, I think we had 2 people, which I was even surprised that there were 2 people in Austin with power, to be honest. Nice job. When you're done with those, 15. Lay back, arms will go out to the side, and you're just rotating the lower half of the body over to the right, over to the left. We won't go through that whole big sequence we did last week. We'll just go through these to get a little bit of stretch in the hips. Roll right, roll left. Like 4 or 5 of those. It should just feel good. And then feet flat, hands behind you. And just trying to arch the back up, chin goes up, hips go up. Just that like tabletop. From there, lift that right arm up towards the ceiling, and you should feel like there's a big stretch through the side. Bring that hand back down, and then reach the other arm up for the ceiling. And come back down. And that's it. So we did a lot more like bigger, warmer movements this week. We're gonna go back to like quick reaction kind of stuff next week. It'll be fun. It'll be like a little more playful. Today was just like getting moving. Everybody's been stuck in a house and cold and whatnot, except then today it was like 80 degrees. So we're all confused. At least we're all confused together. You guys are awesome. I'm proud of you. See you next week.
Thank you.